The speed at which some of these deals are moving is very different from what it was 6 months ago.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Pete Rizzo, a Bitcoin historian on Twitter and editor-at-large at the Kraken Cryptocurrency Exchange, the best place to buy and sell Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. And I'm your host for this special edition 11th anniversary Kraken executive interview. Today, we'll be joined by Kraken CEO and co-founder Jesse Powell for a discussion that traces back to the earliest days of our company and foreshadows what we see in store for the next 11 years of our industry. First, some quick facts about Kraken. Since 2011, Kraken has offered unparalleled access to the Bitcoin and crypto markets, and today we enable trading in over 100 crypto assets for over 9 million customers in over 150 countries. We recently announced plans to expand our exchange with an NFT marketplace, which will soon enable trading of top projects across major blockchains. Last but not least, we are one of the only major Bitcoin and crypto exchanges to conduct full proof of reserve audits, allowing Kraken clients to verify the assets they hold on our exchange, with our forthcoming Q2 audit to be announced soon. With that, we're going to turn it over to Jesse for the interview. Welcome, Jesse.
Hey, thanks, Pete.
So, Jesse, curious to get your thoughts. Obviously, huge milestone, 11 years, a huge amount of time for a company that's been as innovative as ourselves. Love to start in the early days of Bitcoin. You know, a lot of people who are new to the industry assume everyone who is early to Bitcoin got rich quick, easy days. Would love for you to share a little bit about the tribulations of being an early Bitcoin and cryptocurrency adopter.
Yeah, you'd think after like 11 years, you could start feeling comfortable, with your business, but it's pretty much been wartime in crypto from day one. So, we've been through several cycles. We're in another bear cycle right now, it looks like. I think this is our first bear cycle actually sort of being in a recession, looking at, this kind of amount of bad stuff happening in the world. Back in 2011, when we started the company, I think in that year, Bitcoin went from $1 to $10. And, beyond that, we saw it go from 10 to 1,000 and then back to 100. So, as long as we're not seeing like 90% drawdowns, I'm still like feeling like we're doing pretty good. But it's been a long road. I thought that we would be all using Bitcoin all the time by now, and things have certainly taken a lot longer than I thought. And it looks like, adoption is probably going to be more in line with kind of what smartphone adoption has been, than other technologies.
Yeah, generational, of course. And, 11 years old, again, the milestone. Maybe, talked about the industry, maybe take us into starting the company. What were your expectations kind of setting out? Did you think that you would be making a decade? Or, what does it feel like to kind of think of yourselves in those two situations?
Yeah, just starting out, I don't think we were thinking like a decade ahead. We were kind of just thinking, let's create a great place to enable Bitcoin trading that people can trust, that regulators can trust, that can be a good example for the industry, that'll just be, that rock solid place to trade Bitcoin. And, we had some other assets in mind. There were already a few other assets out at the time that we launched the exchange. So we were already thinking about, other assets to support from day one, not just being exclusive to Bitcoin. And we thought even beyond that, we're building all this tech, and it could be that the whole crypto industry gets shut down somehow, or something blows up. It was not thoroughly tested at that point, and we didn't know what regulators were going to do. And in fact, everyone was telling us this is not going to work. This is going to get shut down. We couldn't even raise venture capital until 2014 because VCs just didn't understand Bitcoin, or then didn't understand how it was going to succeed or be adopted. So we're thinking about what else could we do with this tech if we build it? Could we trade stocks? Could we trade other commodities? So, from the beginning, we were kind of hedging a bit, like building for this asset agnostic environment. And, we thought eventually, we could get back into virtual goods trading, which is what we were doing before starting Kraken. And, we're sort of coming full circle now with the NFT marketplace that we're about to launch.
Yeah, unbelievable, the expansion, but talking about that mission, you've talked a lot about this recently, financial inclusion, that's being the driving motivator of Kraken. How do you see the newer products that Kraken has? You mentioned this evolution, NFTs, staking, these kind of things that are just kind of cutting edge, bleeding edge in the industry. How do you see those fitting into the mission for Kraken?
I think that crypto generally is going to just bring people closer together, right? It removes the middlemen from the process, removes trust, removes these gatekeepers, allows people to connect directly with their counterparties, their fans, the people they're making payments to. I think the best thing about crypto is that it's this permissionless rail of last resort that anybody can opt into at any time. So if you get shut out by some other, gate-kept process, you can always go to crypto. So, I think it's going to bring a huge number of people into global commerce. I think it's going to connect people in ways they've never been connected before. And I see part of our duty is to make those connections accessible and easy and user friendly. So, in terms of like artists connecting with their fans, I think a lot of people are going to come into NFTs that way, through some sort of, sponsoring the next album or something like that, getting a rev share with the artist, helping, let's say like visual artists, being able to buy their work without having to go through some kind of gallery process, being able to have a digital gallery and have digital ownership of things. So I think a lot of people are going to come in through that, through not through Bitcoin or looking for a replacement to their national currency, but through like things that we'll start to do in everyday life, like having concert tickets be on the blockchain and the secondary market for concert tickets all done on chain, stuff like that. So I think it's sort of going to creep its way in, and we want to be there to help people to enable those use cases.
Obviously, some still quite skeptical of these new crypto offerings, a lot of guffawing in the media. Some people who think maybe in 11 years, we won't have NFTs. Are there any NFTs you're personally holding for the long term? What would you say to people who just think, this is a fad?
Yeah, I'm pretty much holding all my NFTs for the long term. I bought them all as sort of a collector. I tend to be a hoarder of things as well. I probably got like over 1,000 domains that I've bought over the years, and somehow I become like attached to these things. And I have a domain that I've been holding for like 12 years, and someone will want to buy it, and I'll just be like, I don't know, like I feel like attached to it now. Like, do I really want to sell it? And I think there could be a price that if someone offers me something, or I feel like this guy's he's really into this thing, he's like a great collector of this, he'd be a great steward of this, I would feel good passing it off to him. He's not just someone who's like looking to flip this thing or use it for something stupid. So, I think with art, and most of the NFTs that I have are just art. They're not like profile pics or, memberships into clubs. You kind of have to buy it, just thinking of this is like a charitable thing to do, like you're supporting the artist, you're supporting the work. Maybe you like it, you want to hang it up in your house, or, you want to put it in your gallery or something. But, I think the art business is, it's a really tough one to make money in, especially if you're not trading in sort of like the top 1% of like globally known artists. So I never bought it with many of the NFTs with the intent to resell them. I just bought them to try it out, to support artists and to support the growth of the NFT marketplace, and mostly to get more artists involved, to show them that like this is a way that you can actually make money and this works. And it seems to be working. I mean, I think there are a lot of other people doing the same thing. So, I think we have managed to get a lot of artists into NFTs, which is really cool.
So you talked about crypto prices being a bit resilient. You also mentioned earlier, billions of people on Earth now still lack basic financial services. What would you say to people who say they don't see the correlation here? They don't think maybe that crypto can solve the problem. They don't think crypto has done enough. What would you say, the progress you see for the next 11 years? What would you tell them?
I think Bitcoin is what the internet was to information, and you could the internet, you had to go into libraries, or you had to own, I remember when I was a kid, we had this like 30 set, 30 like tomes like this thick of like encyclopedias in the house. And if you wanted to learn anything, you just like went to those encyclopedias, or you went to the library and tried to look something up. And if you didn't have a library nearby, what did you do? You just didn't have access to information. So, and I think a similar thing is starting to happen with money and cryptocurrency in a way that, I think that the internet didn't so much improve the lives of the wealthiest people, but it really helped the poorest people who didn't have a massive library nearby or universities or couldn't afford a full set of encyclopedias, in their house. So it's sort of raising the floor. And, for those 2 billion people that don't have access to financial services, yeah, it doesn't help us in the United States, middle class or, wealthy Americans who have access to, I'm getting a new credit card in the mail every 5 minutes, people just trying to like force credit on me. And, it's not that way in most of the world. And so it's not going to help me as much as it's going to help those 2 billion people for whom they have like no other alternative right now but Bitcoin, so that's the way that they're going to get into a digital form of payment, maybe a more reliable store of value than whatever their local national currency is, a more secure store of value. So, I think it's doing great things for all those people. And I think bringing those people into global commerce is sort of how it's going to benefit everyone else.
Obviously, head of an exchange now, co-founder, 11 years. What are some of the challenges that, clients face that you don't think are discussed frequently enough?
Well, I think the user experience is still suboptimal for getting into crypto, and it's different all over the world. And I think because not everyone has access to banking, and because a lot of people would like to get into crypto with $5 or something, it's not worthwhile to send an international wire transfer to a global exchange, for $50. So I think there's still this sort of last mile in a lot of places, the onboarding process for people. And there are a lot of local brokers that are doing a good job there. But I think it's still fairly frictionful. I think people don't have enough places to spend their crypto as well. So, I think that's another big thing that we can improve as an industry. And I think maybe I know for a fact that some of the larger, the point of sale providers are working on getting Bitcoin integration into their point of sale systems. So I think that'll help a lot, once people have a way to actually spend, and, if they have Bitcoin, they don't first have to go back into whatever the local currencies is to buy a coffee. If they can do that on chain with Lightning, that would be awesome. I think that's going to be a huge thing to get more people in. I think taxes are another big one that we got to deal with. Like, it's just impossible. You buy a coffee for $3 worth of Bitcoin, and then you got to like track back 8 years and try to find like, what is the cost basis of this, like, 35-cent gain that I had or whatever, or maybe I had a loss on it. So that's a major pain. I think we need some kind of de minimis exemption, to those kinds of transactions. And I know that there's some, at least in the United States, some legislation working on that. That's also different everywhere in the world. I think there's still some FUD out there that's getting in the way of adoption, like the energy consumption thing. I think it's thoroughly debunked at this point. And I think even the benefits of Bitcoin to the grid, to, using this stranded energy, where instead of just wasting it or, flaring it, we're using it for Bitcoin mining, which is just better for the environment, and allows for a more robust grid, allows for a lower average price when actually people want to consume energy. So it's doing all kinds of great things. The energy FUD is even attacking nuclear power, which is insane. So I would say those are like a few big ones. I could probably come up with a bunch more.
So Jesse, talking about the M&A environment, is there anything different that you're seeing today than we saw maybe 6 months ago? How has it changed?
Yeah, there are a lot more companies on the market now. So we're getting a lot of inbounds, not only from founders, but from their investors directly. So, there's a lot of deal shopping. I think we're having to move a bit faster than we normally would as well, because I think there are a lot of bidders as well right now. There's, kind of these fast auctions happening, people looking for the best home for their project. So, I'd say just the quantity of deals coming to us, plus the speed at which some of these deals are moving is very different from what it was 6 months ago. I think 6 months ago, it was very much a seller's market. Everything was obviously, things have fallen 80%, since then. And it might be that, people were in a very strong position, making a lot of money, having no interest in selling. But, maybe the revenues are down 80% now as well. And it could be that they're not profitable and they have a very short runway, and not able to raise new capital in the time that they need it. So just a very different dynamic, and I think that's probably the case across equities of all sorts.
Well, hot markets, obviously Kraken, no stranger to M&A. During the last bear market, we were very active. Thoughts, Kraken potentially buying maybe a big player, maybe an FTX type, anything you can drop in terms of hints?
Yeah. Buying a bunch of other exchanges is a possibility. The tough thing about exchanges buying other exchanges is that you pretty much have kind of full duplication of tech, and you end up just like throwing away, basically the most valuable asset of one of those businesses. And it just kind of becomes like a user acquisition / acqui-hire for the team. So, I think those tend not to make a lot of sense, except in like a distress scenario, or, where the user base, might fill a hole that you have, that's strategic or something like that. But most of the deals that we're looking at are, really about accelerating our roadmap. How can we offer more services to people? It might be licensing, require something for its licenses, or for its talent. Maybe there's a team that's doing something really well, some bleeding edge DeFi team, it's doing something that we want to get into. I think some of these distressed businesses that are going bankrupt now, are probably going to be good deals. There'll probably be some fire sales of assets. I think there's some, I guess the risk in those things is if you're buying something in a bankruptcy process, they tend to want cash, only cash, and assets come with basically 0 reps and warranties, sort of as is, buyer beware situation. So, there's not a ton of incentive for the teams there to like stick it out. I don't know. I think we probably won't do any really massive acquisitions, but there might be some good small ones to pick up.
Well, great. This has been an awesome conversation. Obviously, congratulations again on the 11-year milestone. Obviously, this video will be public to the Kraken customers, the Kraken employees. Any final thoughts you want to share with people who have been with you along that journey?
Yeah, there've been a few people who've been here for a long time. I think we've got a couple people that are up there around 8 years, as sort of the second oldest batch of employees after the co-founders. So like huge thanks to those people. Yeah, big thanks to everyone who's rode out a few of these cycles. Everyone who's been in crypto for a long time, I think, is just chilling. They've been here, seen it before. I think people that are new to this, are probably feeling a little bit uncertain about things, a little bit queasy. So thanks for sticking it out. I think just look back at the charts. It's just part of the plan. So yeah, thanks to everyone. Especially the company's been on its own roller coaster recently as well. So I'm really glad that we've sort of kind of identified and clarified what our culture really is, and I hope that the people that are still here are really strongly believing and supportive of that. And I hope that we can continue to hire more people that are really supportive of our culture. So yeah, big thanks to everyone who's at the company. Obviously, this would not be possible without a few thousand other people. Definitely couldn't do this with the team that we had 11 years ago. So huge thanks to everyone.
Well, here's to 11 more years. Of course, you can find out more about what's going on at Kraken at blog.kraken.com, and to follow us across social media. Jesse, appreciate the time, and congratulations again.
Thanks, Pete.